Good morning. I have decided to do my first actual test run of the Flow Hive honey extraction. My setup is already there. I'm only going to do one side of one frame. I checked it yesterday and it is about 98-99% capped. So we're going to use this as a test run because we need to see if we have a lot of honey leakage down through the trough area or if it's going to work the way it's supposed to, if the wires are tight enough. I have opted, the recommendation is to have a corrugated board installed underneath here to catch any honey that might drip. I don't have that kind of setup. I have the oil tray. Depending on who you talk to, I chose this as my option as a hobbyist to help me monitor hive beetles and varroa mites. This has been cleaned out and it will serve as the catch tray for any leaking honey that I will then feed back to the bees, so there won't be any waste. Alright, we're going to turn the key. And begin the first extraction. Be patient with me, I appreciate it. The recommendation was to turn it slowly at first. As it is very tight. So as you see, hold on just a second. Okay. It is very tight. And I'm also being very careful. So for the moment, I'm going to lay the camera down over here. Hopefully you won't lose the view, so that I can use both hands to turn the handle. Okay, I've opened the frame. There. Now we will watch and see what happens here. Let me see if I can get a look inside there. Yes, the honey is flowing, as you can see. Hold on, sorry. Right there. Okay, the hose is back on. We had some honey leak out there due to my poor cameramanship. Let's see what happens. Okay, the honey is now flowing. Down through the tubes. I'm going to look and see what the bees are doing. They don't seem to be acting any differently. So we're going to watch for a few minutes and see what happens here. The honey's very light, but I noticed the foraging plants around my area. And one of them is a flowering shrub that several people have allowed to grow into a tree. So they were in full bloom. And they would produce a very light honey. So this is working as it should. We will see after the extraction how much leakage we had. For now, I'm going to pause. So far, I haven't seen any robbing. I do have saran wrap. If any begin to rob, I will wrap the extraction tube and the top of the jar in the saran wrap to protect the honey from contamination with insects and robbers. So far it's running really good. This is a quart jar. It's about a third full. It looks like the extraction tube is still very full. I have a backup jar because I'm not really sure how much I will get. That's my second hive. I have a standard medium honey super on it. That hive swarmed a couple of times in the spring. So I don't know if I'm going to get any honey from it. They have definitely built out comb in the honey super. But now we are in summer and exiting the the nectar flow. So I'll have to wait and see probably. Well, I'll be able to determine if they have foraging resources during the summer by what they store, or if they have good foraging resources during the fall. The area where I live is very wooded, so it's really hard to know exactly what is available to them. Other than privet, the flowering shrub I mentioned earlier, I don't know. But I do know there's a lot of privet in the area. And that's why the honey is probably light colored. There's privet, and then the lake has a lot of lake primrose. So I'm just guessing that that is their main foraging source, nectar source. There's a little less honey in the tube, so I'm guessing I may get 1 whole quart out of that one side. Sorry, I just have to give it a taste. Oh, that's good. Very different from what I got at the store. I can't compare it to anything because the taste is very unique. Now that I know how tall the stand needs to be, I can have one built that will bring the jar up higher. However, it does need to be adjustable because right now I'm only using a quart jar. If I were opening a frame on both sides, I would need to use a half-gallon or a gallon-sized jar. There are flies all around, but they're not. So far, they're staying away from the jar and the tube. Okay, the quart jar is over half full now, so we have, and it's still flowing. When it gets really slow, we'll close the cap, let the rest of it flow down back into the hive for the bees. But we don't want a lot of that excess backflow. On this setup I have the Flow Hive and 2 dupes. So if there is any leakage, chances are good it won't even make it down to the bottom. Here are my bees in the front. Let's walk around and see what they're doing while I'm extracting. Seems to be some orienting. There does seem to be a little more activity than I normally see right now, but this could just be orienting bees, which is what it looks like. By the way, they're hovering in the front of the hive and swirling above it. That's what they do when they orient, which just means we have some new bees that are preparing to begin to forage. They do not seem to be distressed. Okay, we'll set the camera down for a minute. I'm going to put some plastic on there because a fly just invaded the space. So we're just going to back up right here. Set it down right here. Okay, see how simple that was? Now absolutely nothing can get in there, and the last bit of the honey can drip out. It's gotten slower. Just going to leave the camera sitting here, and I'm going to walk away. While we're at it, let's take another peek at the bees. Orienting in front of the hive. As you can see, this is a very strong hive. Not a single bee has approached me, buzzed around me, and I've been sitting here all around this hive, moving around this hive, sitting about 2 feet away. So I'm just going to leave the camera on, and I really don't know how much longer the battery will hold, so I'm just going to let it run. I'll come back in about 10 minutes. It's been 20 minutes, but yet the actual extraction part has only probably been about 15. And from what I remember on videos I've watched, the average time would be 20 minutes. Okay, it's getting really slow now. I just wanted to let you know that a while ago I said that I was sitting very close to the hive, walked around the hive. I have no bee gear on, no veil, no gloves, nothing. And I have not felt at all threatened. And other than the orienting bees in the front, which is very normal, I don't see them at all upset or disturbed or distressed. I would also like to add that this frame that I'm extracting right now, when I checked it a week ago, it was completely capped. When I inspected it yesterday, it was about 86% capped, because what was happening is the bees were removing the honey. This is why I decided to go ahead and extract that 1/2 of that frame. One, to test the flow, and two, to check the honey, and three, to see what they'll do now that it's been removed. Okay, my next extraction, I'm going to put a really small shim under the front of the hive just to get a little more tilt. But for now, I'm going to allow this honey that's in the tube to continue to drip, because I believe that that's too much honey in there to just dump back into the hive. We'll look down in the tray in a couple of hours and see if there's any honey there, and we'll see how this ends.